All right, guys, Ask a Felon back with another one for you. Hit that notification bell, hit the subscribe button, leave a like, comment, some questions. But with that being said, I'm going to get into this question. How do people smuggle contraband into prison? Well, some of the ways I seen was there was a guard. You can always fill out the guards and see which ones will test. What you do is you test them. You test them by seeing what they'll let you get by with. Like if they'll let you get by, they smell smoke in your cell and they don't shake you down, if they see you getting tattoo work done or something like that and they don't say nothing, or if they barely do their job and they don't care about like what you do, that's when you can test the COs and decide, is he one I can hit? Or you joke around and say something like, shit, bring me in some strips, bring me in a phone. And you can tell by the personality. I guess that's the best way to say it. You can tell by the way they act and their personality and what they'll let you get by with. Like you test the waters. You might just try, all right, you ain't never supposed to be in anybody else's cell. Like you're only supposed to be in your assigned cell. You ain't never supposed to be in another person's cell, no matter what, for any reason. So if they let that slide and they don't make a big deal about it, because you got your guards in there who they see you in another cell, they're writing you up for being in the wrong cell. Or they see you tattooing, you're getting hit, you're getting shook down and everything. They smell smoke in your room, you're getting shook down, and probably the room next to you is getting shook down too. So what they do is you'll test them out, and usually it's the guards. They'll bring in strips. Suboxone strips are so easy to get into prison because they're like a Listerine strip. Anybody out there who don't know what a Suboxone strip is, it's like a Listerine strip. Exactly the only way I can describe it. It's exactly like a Listerine strip, about the same size and everything. So you can ask the guards after you've tested them out for a while. You can see which ones just by filling them out and seeing. And it's usually the guards, or when people get visits, they'll have their girlfriend or their wife or whoever's visited them. It might just be a buddy from the outside visit them too and brings in. They'll sneak it in. Usually, out of the way I've known, people would cut their waistbands, cut a slit in the waistband of their pants. You know how it's got like two layers, and they'll cut a little slit in the waistband and then slide the strips because they're like a Listerine strip. Slide them, a little package bundled up inside there. You could bring in 50 strips, no problem doing it like that. 50 strips inside there, that's a lot of money. I mean, a strip sells for anywhere up to $100 in there. At least when I was in there. Sometimes you could get them for 50, but you could get up to 100 if you broke them down and cut them into more pieces and sold them pieces instead of whole strips. Next question is, did I ever save someone's life? No, I don't. I never saved no one's life directly. Maybe sometimes some of the deep conversations I had with some of my bunkies, it might have helped them in some kind of way, but no, I never actually saved somebody's life. How do inmates pass time? The biggest thing I see in there by inmates passing time is working out. Like they'll have a whole group of people down there. Like every time the doors open, that's all they do. They run right out to that day room and they'll start using the pull-up bar. They'll be doing push-ups or they'll be doing little, jumping jacks, walking around. Basically, what I see was working out. That or a lot of people just stay on the phones all day talking to their people. You see somebody get on the phone as soon as we get out after our lockdown, and they're on that phone forever. So they'll spend the whole, or they get on the JPay machine where you can video conference people, like you can have a video visit with your people. So most of the time it's working out, staying on the phone. How I pass time, I sat down and wrote letters. I did programs. I never really worked out. I might do a little push-ups here and there in my room, but other than that, I wasn't big on working out. It just my mindset wasn't right to be doing working out. I was worried about other things. I felt like I had to be in touch with my people on the outside at all times, even if it was just writing a letter. I felt like I was in touch with them right then as I'm writing that letter. So to me, it was writing letters and getting tattoo work. I mean, that's how I passed my time. Tattoo work, it take you all day to get a tattoo. I mean, it kills time. But a lot of other people in there, stay high. They just stay high and watch sports all day long. But usually working out was what I seen. What's something I struggled with after prison? Drugs. Even though I'm clean and I have been clean for a while now, I still if you're an addict, you struggle with it all the time. You're always an addict. You're always an addict. It don't change. You're an addict for the rest of your life. And it can be the smallest little things that trigger me. Like yesterday I had court for an eviction that I had just had not too long ago, and they was wanting to collect money from me. You know, that right there was stressing me out. I was thinking, man, I need a Xanax before I walk in this courtroom. You know, I don't want to walk in this courtroom and see a judge, because you always got that fear of once you've been locked up and you've had the shit happen. So, like, you know how corrupt the system can be. I know how corrupt the system can be because, like I said, I got a story where just because the person I knew the judge, he broke all kinds of rules to help me out. But then later on, he wanted a favor from my wife to help out the mayor. So that's a story for another time. Like I said, once I reach a certain amount of subscribers, I'll go ahead and I'll talk about that one. But that there's kind of a touchy subject. I'm gonna have to watch how I word it and everything. You know, I don't want to get nobody in no trouble, and I don't want to get myself targeted for anything. But yeah, the system is corrupt. I'm telling you that right now. It's who you know is what it is. Did anyone ever try to scam me? No. No one ever tried to scam me, but they tried to scam my bunkie. There was a time in jail that he wasn't even my bunkie, actually. It was just a dude that I used to go to school with. I knew him from middle school, and he was one of like the only people I fucked with in middle school because I didn't fuck with a lot of people when I was in middle school. But he had a crippled arm. He got in a car wreck and he had a dead arm. He couldn't use it. And when we was in jail, there was these black guys that went around. They was somehow they would either watch you on the phone, type in your PIN number because you got to type in a PIN number to use the phone. So people would stand behind the phones and act like they're watching the day room TV because the TV was right above the phones, and they would act like they're watching the TV, but really what they was doing, they was watching you punch in that code, your PIN number, and the code off your calling card, and they'd memorize it or they'd be writing it down as they're watching you, and they was stealing people's time, the time on the phone. And the dude I knew, I was cool with him, and he told me about it, and it just kept happening. I'm like, man, you need to put shit up and watch it, and make sure next time you go to phone, I'll stand behind you. I'll cover you. Well, they somehow they kept taking this shit, and I finally went out in the day room one day, and I told them there was all black people in there, and all running their mouths and shit. And I flat out went out there and told them, I said, you guys want to steal somebody's fucking phone card? I got mine sitting on my bed right now. Do it like a man would. Come in here and take that shit instead of being sneaky about it. And then I threw in whoever did it's a bitch, try to piss a motherfucker off. Whoever did it, bitch, you're a bitch. But of course, nobody admitted to it, but nobody fucked with his card after that. And I just ran into him last year out here on the streets. He was like, man, I'm glad I ran into you, dude. I was thinking about you since jail. But yeah, I kind of looked out for him because, he's got a dead arm. Motherfuckers want to take advantage of somebody like that. I've never been one that can let that shit go. You want to pick on the weak? You're gonna fuck with me then. I don't care. I'll get my ass beat before I let somebody else fuck with the weak. That's just who I am. Can you ever really trust anybody in prison? I've answered this a bunch of times. Yes. There's quite a few people in prison you can trust. Everybody in there ain't bad people. You gotta remember, it's just people, normal people. You could be in prison tomorrow. You could be driving your car and somebody runs out in front of you and you hit and kill them and you get charged with some involuntary manslaughter or something. I mean, anything can happen. Not everybody in there is a bad person just because they're in prison. How often do inmates cry? I ain't never seen an inmate in there cry. Like literally, not one time have I seen an inmate in there cry. I seen an inmate in jail cry, not in prison, but I seen an inmate in jail cry, and that was because he got mad and threw at his old lady, his wife. He got off the phone and he was crying, and then he flushed his wedding ring down the toilet. And then a couple minutes later, he started crying. He was like, "Damn, why did I do that? I just flushed that down the toilet." And there ain't no getting it back once you flush it down that toilet. What's the hardest part of being released? Well, the hardest part of being released is usually the programs or any hoops you have to jump through, like probation, parole, house arrest, work release. That's the hardest part about being released. But mentally, for me, being the hardest part about being released was knowing that I didn't have anything except for the clothes I left prison in, which was the clothes I went to prison in, and then starting all over, being a felon. And I always heard before I went to prison how hard it is to get a job as a felon. But I got out and I got jobs, no problem. So I don't think it's the jobs is an issue. I think it's if you ain't looking for a job and you're a felon, obviously you ain't gonna find one. If you can just keep pulling that excuse, oh, it's hard to find a job, I'm a felon, then yeah, you ain't gonna find one. Did prison make you appreciate freedom more? Absolutely. Hell yes, it did. And it's kind of like somebody who ain't never been broke. They won't appreciate having money until you've been broke and hit rock bottom. You won't appreciate your freedom until you've been locked up. Like I was spent 6 months at a time in jail for like 2 years. Did 6 months, got released, went back for another 6 months. And I mean, it makes you appreciate your time. The longer time if you're only in there for a day or two and you get bonded out or released, obviously you ain't gonna start. Oh, that made me appreciate my freedom. But if you're in there for 6 months, 6 months inside a jail is a lot longer. 6 months inside a jail is probably longer than 6 months in prison because in prison you got more you can do inside prison. So yeah, it made me appreciate my freedom a lot more. Would I ever visit a prison again to speak? I would. If somebody ever asked me, would you come to prison and share your story or have any advice to give for people or be a part of a program? I probably would. If it's a program that I know people actually give a fuck about and it's not just something that they want to go to so they can pass drugs during they get out of their dorm to get drugs from another dorm or something like that. It'd have to be something really serious that I knew was worth doing. How do inmates stay in shape? Well, like I said, they work out. There's usually in the open dorm, they got a place where you can do pull ups. They got, a lot of times people use a bucket full of water and a rope around it and use weights. They do that in jail. But in prison, yeah, the people just work out all day. I mean, that's how they stay in shape. Work out all day, eat high protein foods. They'll make shit with fish, chicken. Did I miss technology while locked up? No, because at the time I got locked up, I never was big on like I am now. Now I know how to use computers. Now I know how to use phones to the max to benefit for myself. Like I know how to find work using them, shit like that. But before I went to prison, it wasn't nowhere near as high tech as it is right now. So yeah, it didn't make me appreciate freedom or technology anymore or anything like that because I didn't really use technology too much. I'd post some Craigslist ads, maybe some Facebook ads for work to keep myself surviving while I was on the run and be low key. But other than that, no, I didn't make me miss technology. But with that being said, guys, that's all I got for this one. Hit that like, comment, some questions, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you get updated. I'm also doing a part my story life on my long form channels. It's the same channel, but instead of these shorts, I'm doing long videos. I started out with my story part one. You ought to go check it out. That's just me talking about my childhood. I'm doing a series to where I break down what led me to addiction, what led from that addiction to prison, and then what my recovery after prison is like. So go check it out. Hit that subscribe. Come on, guys. I gotta get it to 500 subscribers so I can get into all these details about this judge, about the prosecutor, about the mayor, so I can get into the details about my crimes, how I committed them, give you guys some tips what to watch for coming from the mind of a criminal. Like just some of the commonest little things you think is pointless and is over being overcautious is where criminal minds take advantage of that weak spot. So I got tips on that. But like I say, I gotta get some more subscribers. So guys, hit that subscribe button. But until the next video, see ya.